I'm John Hinkle, the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church here in downtown Murfreesboro on the corner of College and Spring. This is your Saturday morning preview of your Sunday morning sermon, which I'm doing on Friday, by the way. So first, let me say thank you for letting me be away from the office 2 weeks ago as I was in the mountains of North Carolina working on liturgy and planning out the preaching for the rest of the year. I'm really excited about where we are going and why we are going in that direction. But the direction that we're entering and the time that we're entering this Sunday is stewardship season. And I want to thank Chris and Amy Jackson for chairing our stewardship campaign this year. And Chris and Amy are really kind of the manifestation of what we're going to be talking about, which is time. And more specifically, your time. And if you're parents and you're raising kids right now, you know just how precious time is. And especially, like I say this in my sermon, if you're parents of multiple kids, time is really precious, right? There's a lot that's going on in your life. And time is very limited. We only have 24 hours in a day, and we technically sleep 7 of those hours. So what we do with our time needs to be thoughtful. If you have been with us in a stewardship campaign at First Presbyterian Church or any other church, you know that the 3 sacred pillars of stewardship are time, talent, and tithe, or your financial gift. But one of the things that I'm going to introduce to you this Sunday is the notion that stewardship has to start first and foremost with your time. Because if you don't give your time, then you can't offer your talents. If you don't give your time, meaning being present, it's kind of hard to give your financial gift to the church. Sure, you can do it on online giving, but I think you get what I'm meaning. If you're not here, do you really think about the church? So the question we are dealing with is time and what we do with our time. Now, it's interesting, even though we're focusing on an Old Testament text, I do bring up in my sermon the word time itself. Now, there are 2 Greek words that can be used for time. One is chronos, and chronos is really kind of like the click of your watch, right? That's chronos. Chronos is looking at your calendar and seeing the dates on your calendar. But the other word for time is kairos. And kairos isn't the tick of the clock. It's what you do in the in-between the clicks. And so kairos is time in action. How do we spend our time? And our text actually comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's probably the most uplifting text in Ecclesiastes. If you don't know what I mean, read Ecclesiastes and you'll pick up pretty quickly. But it's that text in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 that so often is used during funerals. And I'll just read it to us. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to kill and a time to be healed. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to weep, a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to collect them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. And then the poet raises a question. What do workers gain from their toil? What the poet is asking is, what are you doing with your time? How do you spend your time? So for the next 4 Sundays, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about time, and your time and my time, and the time we give back to the church as we give back to God. So I hope to see you this Sunday. We got a baptism at 11. A lot of things are going on in the life of the church, a lot of good things. And I'm excited to be back in the pulpit. Shout out to Will Fraley, Glenn Emery, and of course my main super fan. I tell you the truth, Hayden Still. We love you, buddy. We'll talk to y'all later.